Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Fair Life with Andrew McKee. Well, this is going to be a little bit of a test, see how it goes, because I am working remotely here over in Hammond, Louisiana, around there, and hopefully the signal and the bit rate and everything is going okay. So yeah, do let me know if everything seems okay sound and video wise. And hey, Damaris, hey, Sarit. Good to see you. And hey, yeah, good to see you again. Since it's over the weekend. But yeah, it is good evening. But yeah, it is interesting to test. We'll see how this goes. Looks like, well, it's dropping a few frames, but I don't think it's too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things when you go with different ISPs around in remote areas, sometimes they're not quite as stable as they appear. So I might need to lower the bit rate next time a little bit, but I think we're okay. But it might drop a few frames now and then, so we will see. So here's hoping. But no, I have been at the Louisiana Ren Fair and for the last the last few weekends, and it has been a bit crazy, to say the least. I don't know if any of you have done any fairs recently, but it has been crazy, to say the least. What happened was we had a 9-day period where where 7 of the days were fair days, because during the week we had school days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were days set aside so that students from area schools could kind of have a field trip and come out. And I say area, but I mean, they really expand a lot here in Louisiana. They really are aggressive with that. So it's more like a regional school field trip. So hey, oh, and hey, Alicia joined us. So great. Thanks to see you. Good to see you too. Looks good mostly. Okay. That's good. Hopefully it's at least okay. From this test, we'll kind of get to tweak it a little bit and fix any small problems. You know how that goes. But no, I think this so far is a successful test. I think I might have been a little aggressive with the bit rate, but just a little. I think if I lowered a tad, we got it. But that's my impression so far. So I think we're okay. Oh yeah, the tropical storm thing, Alicia. Yeah, that was over in the New York Ren Fair. Oh wow, an hour early for every day after. Oh, that's always one of the problems. I mean, you have schedules and plans and things set up, and when you alter that, it can get a little messy. So I understand. I understand. Oh, really echoey? Interesting. Okay. I'll listen back and see what I can do. It might be something I can fix. I'll work on that. Yeah, that's always the trick. I mean, I mainly just did a test before last week just to kind of see what the signal was and what I could do, and it looked like I had plenty of bit rate to go. But yeah, long-term uploads of video, not always stable. So you try. Oh man, never easy. Sorry about that, Alicia. That sucks. Never fun. But no, yeah, school days, for those of you that aren't that familiar, it's actually a pretty phenomenal thing. It always has surprised me how many cast members that I meet at different fairs who say that their first experience at a Ren Fair was on school days. It's kind of like a gateway for cast to, get their first taste and fall in love with it. And the next thing you know, they want to do fair. So it's kind of a big deal. It's really important. Now, at Louisiana, there were thousands of kids each day. And it really is a big deal. I mean, the fair does make money from it. And the merchants, some of them, if they set it up right, can as well. And it is an extra day of work. So, but it is tiring. It really is. I mean, when you're used to taking several days off to kind of recover from a weekend and you don't get that, it's an experience. But now that that's over, I have a 3-day weekend with Thanksgiving coming up this next weekend at Louisiana. The Black Friday thing, often do that for Faire as a Faire day, but it will be interesting. It will. Oh, just the room is echoey. Yeah, that is going to be a thing. But what I'm saying is I could possibly fix that, or at least minimize it a little more, even though the room. Right? I mean, school days can be a lot of fun. And it certainly is rewarding when you can kind of introduce some kids to music. And I love the ones that just are so interested and they ask the great questions, and you can just tell, oh my God, I was that kid. I totally get it. It's a wonderful experience when you realize that you are having at least a noticeable influence on this kid's life. That is just, it's very rewarding, I have to say. Yeah, it can be. Although, there are some merchants who do well on kids' days. I really still think that, for some merchants, there's not much they can do, but I get it. It's just because they sell a couple of items and they're not really geared for kids. But it is an opportunity for some merchants to really, have alternate product, or to concentrate on product that would work for kids' days. Put the high dollar stuff, away and not even show it if they want. But it's an opportunity, and I don't think all merchants necessarily take advantage of it. But for some student days, it's just like one day out of the Faire season. So to do all of that work just for one day sometimes doesn't make sense. For Louisiana, it's 3 days. So I think it makes more sense to put a little extra effort in. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, performing is fun. It really is. It really is. Alicia, that doesn't really surprise me, that you were accused of that. I have to say. I have to say. And hey, Harvey. Hello, Zachary. Yeah, it is. There's a few different ways to approach it. I tend to approach it head on and just really look at it as I'm getting my full day rate on sort of a not full day. So I kind of push it. I really go out and I just look at it as, okay, what can I do to help the day and make it more special for the adults and the kids and everybody there. That's kind of how I approach it. I mean, hey, Kathy, thanks for joining. I'm just talking about the student days because we had student days last week. So that, in case you just came in and you're wondering what we're talking about. I'm not surprised about that either, Alicia. That is very true. That is very true. Oh, wait. Was enigmatic a typo, or is it enigmatic and charismatic? No, I'm not sure. Well, okay. Well, we'll see. But yeah, student days, always a hoot, and it's a fun time. All fairs do them a little differently. There's not one way to do it. And like I said, some do it not just on one day. Louisiana does it on 3. And it is, they separate it by elementary school, middle school, and high school days. And there's some crossover because some schools can't go on a particular day. So they have the option to go to the other ones, but generally it's a concentration, and it generally works out that way, I think. Well, pretty good. Yeah, I know, right? They were pretty good. It's an interesting approach. And of course, I play a recorder a lot, so I can talk about a little bit of the history of the recorder and what kind of instrument it is. And that usually goes over well. I have a whole spiel that can go on for a whole show, 30 minutes, but I condense it down to about 12 to 15 minutes. And, the kids like that, and it works out well. So that's been my approach. And I'll do that bit. Kids will come in with their teachers and listen to it for 10 minutes, then they'll leave, and then the next group will do the same, and we'll just kind of go through again and again for 30 minutes. Oh, and Jan made it in. Excellent, excellent. Yes, and it was great to see you, Jan, at Louisiana last weekend, so always good. Yeah, a fair without Jan and Jim, just it almost doesn't seem like a fair. But thanks for joining. Yeah, let's see. The other interesting thing about Louisiana for me is I've been put in charge of sound. So that's definitely new this year. Yeah, they talked to me about it, and it was I didn't really get much warning on this. They talked to me just I think a week and a half before Faire about it. So it's kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I think I can, yeah, we can do that. And, but I appreciated it. It is kind of nice to do. The tough part has been figuring out a balance between, just because normally I like to play music all day, and that's what I generally do. But with this, I'm kind of helping the different stages get their sound set up, and the performers and musicians, make sure that everything's working, especially if it's a new setup. And it takes a bit of work. That first weekend, I really feel like I didn't play much music, and I won't lie, I was a little bummed out. But I realized it was first weekend and a lot of new stuff. But so the second weekend, a lot better. And then last weekend, I kind of figured out how to balance it pretty well. And I think I did a good job. So next weekend should be even better. And it's just figuring out that balance of how to jump to a stage and then do some busking, and then jump to a stage and do some busking, and help everyone. But it is interesting. It is interesting. I hope the teachers appreciate it for school days. I really hope they do. I do. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I did do some busking in the lanes, but I didn't see you when I did that. And you did see me helping some of the helping with the sound for a couple of the stages. So I did do that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. The fun part, though, is I'm starting to get to have some, well, I guess, input on how the sound systems are set up and what we can do on some of the stages. And I'm putting together a whole PDF file of these are all my suggestions for each stage and what I would recommend doing. And and they asked me for it, so this isn't unsolicited. So it is hopefully something will come of it, but it's interesting, and it's an interesting opportunity that I'm not letting get away from me, because they're as a musician, there's always things you wish would happen at a fair, or especially at the stage you're on. And, nothing's perfect, but, if we can make a few steps forward to make stages better for musicians, I'm all for it. So, and other performers as well. Well, that would be more entertainment director. So, yeah, that's not really my thing, unfortunately, but, or actually, fortunately, I don't know if I want to deal with that. That would be, but yeah, I mean, that's an entertainment director's job, and that's how that works. Yeah, I know, that's kind of me too. I don't really, part of my thing is I don't really put on a performance exactly. I mean, I don't put on a fake character and do that. I just talk to you like a real person, and talk a little bit about the history, and it comes across as very conversational. And that tends to work okay. I think the kids tend to like that, and they'll ask questions during, and I have no problem stopping and answering a quick question and doing that and moving on. It doesn't really, because I don't have I have a loose script in my head, but I've never really written it down, so I don't, I can adjust it on the fly, no problem. I'm used to that. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The whole thing is, if you owned a Ren Fair, what would you do? If you were entertainment director, what would you do? I mean, those are questions that everybody who works Ren Fairs has at some point or another. It's that fun around the campfire conversation. So yeah, I've thought about it. But I mean, certainly there's a lot of headache, but there's a lot of reward too. I mean, for instance, the entertainment director out at Louisiana, Tommy, he came up with the idea of bringing in one of the local New Orleans musicians, a Celtic musician, to play for this Celtic weekend last weekend. And it was brilliant. It was a great idea. And she did a great job. This is Beth Patterson, for those wondering. And just really rocked it and had a good time. So that was an inspired thought. And that was his. So, I mean, yeah, you get to make some decisions and make some changes and do some cool stuff. So it can be pretty cool. But I mean, I think that's true for anything. If you are in charge, you get to, you get control and you get to do what you want. but it's also stressful and sometimes a bit of a headache. So it's, is it worth it? For some people, I think it is. For some, not. Right, right. I know Jan. I know you saw her, and it was great. Yeah, yeah, I know. You wouldn't. Yeah, I don't. I think it's one of those things where I could do it, but I don't know if I'd like it. But I mean, like, I think that's true for most things. You're never really sure if you're really going to like it until you give it a try. And I think I think it would all depend. I think it'd be rewarding at the end of the season to see how it all came out, but it would be stressful. Right, right, yeah, because you were in charge of that, yeah, of the online streaming for that site for a while, and that was, yeah, yeah. Believe me, Alicia, I understand, and I do. We very much bonded on that, some of the stuff we've had to go through during COVID and come up with all that stuff. Oh yeah, Damaris, the WW that was what she called the her streaming her streaming site for Faire. Sort of, she started her own version of that. Oh, cat, that's interesting. Yes, for merchants employed a merchant coordinator's year, huh? And it was odd, but fun, but very different. Yeah, I know. I mean, it is. It's a weird shift. I bet. It's never what you probably expect, right? It's a big transition, but yeah, but I'm glad it's fun. That's always the key. If you can have some fun with it, then it's worth it, maybe. Yeah, yeah. She kind of did her own fair life. Uh, life's a fair kind of thing for a little while. That's kind of how we met, because there were just a few different groups doing stuff like that, and she was one of them. And we ended up kind of getting together and working together after that. So honestly, yeah, that's kind of how we got together. We'd met before that, but yeah. So really thankful for that. You had to say that, Alicia. Okay, fine, fine. How did I decide what? How did I decide what to wear for your fair life? In what sense? Because are you talking about just for the show, or just for performing, or because that there's a lot of different routes for that question. Oh, you have a few other claims to fame, Alicia. Don't worry, but it's yeah, but that is certainly one of them. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I can tell. I'm dropping about. I'm losing about 10% of the frames right now. So I'm sure the audio is going in fine, and it's a little here, a little there. So it's probably just not a full 30 frames per second. It's probably more like 25 or 26 or something like that, and that's where it is. So this is a successful test. I think if I lower the bit rate just a little, I think we're fine. So this was a good test. See what I started? That was on me, everyone. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting when you have people running things that sometimes they know what they're doing and sometimes they really don't. And it's, I think few things inspire you to take charge and be in charge than to see how somebody else isn't doing it right. That really can be just, it's the old thing. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. So that is kind of what you need to do. Oh, okay. So performing garb. Well, yeah. How do I choose it? Wow. I mean, the real trick, I think, is if it's just a general question about how you choose garb. I'm sure some of the others have some answers in there too. For me, it's always just trying to find a unique look. something that looks good on you, that you feel comfortable with, that you like the look of, and that nobody else looks like. I mean, that's the key. You need to have your own branding, your own unique look. And I think that's very important. I mean, I've kind of gone a little bit, I tried to go a little low key because I didn't want to come across as too much of a noble, since I do a lot of busking in the lanes. That almost a little bit of a peasant bard look is what I went for, but I still wanted some bright colors and a few, and just something that looks good on me. And that's really it. That there's so much history and so many outfits and so many options. It's really hard to even limit it. I mean, you have to kind of just look around, look at garb and movies, look at garb and old and books, and just anywhere you can, and old paintings, anywhere you can find, and just see what inspires you. See if anything's, oh, I like the look of that. I think I would look good in that. And then see if you would. That's kind of the gist. Yeah, I think Damaris is right. It is a process. Yeah, and that's a good point, Alicia. Sometimes working with a costumer can make a huge difference. I mean, sometimes you don't have an eye for color. I mean, you may not have like a fashion sense. You just don't know. So working with somebody can really help. Yeah, that can be very helpful. Drew, I think truer words were rarely spoken, as true as that. Because yes, you do have a very unique character, and I totally agree with that. Yeah, your outfit, it definitely goes with the character that you have. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I totally understand. One of the things I'm working on right now is this doublet I got. I mean, it didn't quite fit right, and I'm still wearing it, but I'm looking for something to replace it with. And that in the off season, over New Year's, that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at. So there's always a constant kind of mindset to, make little tweaks, upgrade, change here and there, always improve. Oh, I think that's a good idea. Build something around one thing. Alicia, I think that's great advice. I totally agree with that. Well, there are worse things to look like. I think, yeah, if you, you definitely have your own style. So I can see that. Yeah, and if you can work on your own garments and that everything, and sew and do all of that, that is a huge bonus. Some of us, I can sew, but I'm not that good. So yeah, I definitely get mine made. Oh yeah, that would be a good idea. I totally think that's a great idea. I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense. So true, Alicia. So true. I think that's a very good point. And yeah, there is such a thing as nightmare fabric. Definitely. Definitely. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, that is true. Now, I mean, when I first started going to Faire, the internet, I mean, you couldn't order stuff from all over as easily. And that now there are shops from all over the world easily available. So, and they'll ship to you. So, I mean, yeah, there are so many more options now. So that is really, really a great service now. It is so much easier to find garb than it ever has been. Very much so. It is such a wondrous thing. Really like that a lot. Uh, you know, with the oh wow, it's already 7:21. Well, let's see. Real quick. I mean, I was saying I was working on sound and in charge of that. That's kind of been a obsession for a little while, and it's been one of those stressful things about where do you draw the line with amplification. I mean, what's too much? What's too modern? I mean, where is that line? And that's kind of what I've been wrestling with a little bit, trying to figure out. I know where my line is, but what should the Faire's line be? And because I do think those are separate things. So, I mean, we've talked about this on the show in the past about how I look at sound and how I think it's often done wrong at fairs, honestly, because it's a little weird. But people are used to it in this wrong sense, where it's a very modern way to do audio, which unfortunately doesn't sound authentic at all. It's not how acoustic music would be. So I don't know. I'm kind of I'm looking into coming up with some interesting ideas to try to make it work. So that's kind of been a thing. Hopefully in about over the next week, I'll have it all together and I can present it to the fair and see if anything will come of it. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And yeah, getting ready for Thanksgiving. And I'm not going to go deep into Thanksgiving, don't worry, because we've talked about that in past episodes, in past years. So just it's a nice holiday to kind of get together with friends and family and get some good food. So hopefully everyone will do that. But yeah, let's see. Where are we? It's still talking about garb. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna put everything together, and in the next few episodes, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I'm thinking as far as what a cool stage for a good sound setup would be. So that will be interesting. That'll be interesting. Comfortable Medieval. I like that. That should be a collection. The Comfortable Medieval collection. I like it. You're not wrong. I think, yeah, let's put a pin in that, and we're going to talk garb in an episode soon. Or garb special. That could be good too. Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could have a whole episode just on hats, just on boots, and I mean, and it would still be an hour-long episode, and we'd be condensing. There's a lot out there. And there's a lot of tricks and ins and outs, and that is something that I think needs to be out there. Yeah, definitely. Glad you approve. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. That is a good idea. I like that garb series. That's on the list now, so we're good. Well, let's go ahead and jump over onto the fair list, because we don't have much, so that's kind of nice. Let's see. I think there are 4 fairs. Not too bad, right? There are a few Dickens events, but I Dickens on the Strand kind of thing. But I don't really. I'm hesitant to include those on a fair list. Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think I should include, Dickens themed Christmas events on the fair list? I mean, there's not really much going on this time of year, so I could. But it just seems a little weird to me to do it. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know on that while I go through the fair. All 4 of them. Okay, let's go ahead and jump on. Let's see. Hopefully on the portable setup, I got the laser pointer. Oh, I think yep, there it is. Yes. Okay, I got the pet-friendly version, so we are in good shape. Yeah. Okay, so starting out, we have the Sarasota Medieval Fair. Down in Florida. This is in Miaka City, Florida. And it is the last weekend of that, the 4th out of 4 weekends. And the theme is St. Nicholas Celebration. And then nearby in Florida, we have the Suncoast Renaissance Festival in Sarasota, Florida. And it's the 2nd out of 4 weekends, so it's still going on for a few more weekends. And the theme is Fantasy Weekend. Now, going over to the Louisiana Fair, yeah, we have Louisiana Renaissance Festival in Hammond, Louisiana. It's the 4th out of 6 weekends, and the theme is Myths and Magic. And then going over to Texas, we have the Texas Renaissance Festival, and this is going to be the last weekend there, 8 out of 8, in Todd Mission, Texas, and the theme is Celtic Christmas. So, yeah. And, yeah, Drew's already saying, gonna be a cold one, huh? Over in Texas. Yeah, it might be. We'll see. I think it's still early. We'll see how the forecast changes. Hopefully it won't be too cold. It'll be a little colder than we've had so far, but I'm optimistic it won't be too bad. Okay. Kat, that's interesting. You're saying that Viking festivals. Yeah, okay. That is a bit of a departure. But I mean, also you can look at Viking. I look see the thing is I kind of look at Viking festivals as kind of like medieval festivals because the timing kind of works out. So that's why I mean going to Dickens, I mean, it just seems like such a it's a 19th century event, themed event. I mean, what's next? World War One? I mean, a recreational event. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of, it just seems a little too far out there. I mean, how many time periods can I go? But you're not wrong. I mean, it does make a little bit of sense. It does. Um, yeah, I mean, oh, that's a good question. They also do like the Halloween special events and other events during the year. Okay, and just look at it as do a special dispensation for for Dickens events because a lot of people from Ren fairs go there as well, and it's sort of at an off-peak time of year, so there's space. I guess I could treat it like a little holiday themed event with little Santa hats for the for each for the icon for each one. I don't know. Maybe. Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's tough. I'm kind of on the fence. The reason I ask is I'm not sure. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. I'll think about it. We'll see what's coming up next weekend, um, for next week. So yeah, I'll make a decision on it. Well, like a fair, um, some are a little bit, others less so. I mean, the history is not always rigorously enforced, but that's true with most events like this. Some more than others. Yay! We have a cat victory, so I like that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, that works pretty well. Well, I guess yeah. It's already after 7:30, so let's go ahead and call it here. I think this was a successful test. It's actually I'm losing a little slightly higher percentage of frames, so but it's close. It's still stable. It's just not. It's struggling a little bit. So yeah, I think this is a good test. I'm going to go ahead and lower the bit rate a bit on both the Facebook and YouTube channels for next week, and I think we'll be fine. But this was definitely a successful test. So yeah, thanks for being here tonight. And next week I'll have a lot more for you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about about these garb ideas because I think this is a good idea. Definitely have a good one on that. And yeah, hopefully I'll have some more to tell you about Louisiana and fairs in general because, well, what can I say? Sometimes it's just a fair life. So take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.